What's up, everybody? Today we are going to be working on a 2006 Dodge Magnum, and we are going to be doing a cluster replacement because the tach stopped working. So if we fire up the vehicle here and I turn the radio off, you can see that the tach is not moving. So I think the stepper motor probably went bad in there, but we'll have to see. I'm going to try and pull it out and do a repair video also. That'll be different, but today we're just going to replace the cluster, so I'll show you guys how to do that. So the first interior trim piece we're going to need to remove is this gray piece of plastic right here, and it's not held in with any screws, so you should be able to wiggle it off, but if you're having a hard time, get a flathead screwdriver and just very carefully work your way in here, and then you'll hear it click, and then there's a second one sorted down here, and then you'll hear that one click, and then we pull it off. Next, we're going to take off this bottom gray trim piece also, which is held in the exact same manner. So again, you want to just very carefully work your way in there, and then that will pull off as well. Next, after you've taken off your trim piece that's here and here, there's a Phillips head screw right here, and then there's one below the dash right here where my finger is. So we're going to remove those next. And then we're going to very gently just pull on this. There's a clip right about here, and then it should work its way out now. There we go. And then we're going to want to disconnect the parking brake. The parking brake has been disconnected. It's kind of hard to do. You're probably going to have to get some needle nose pliers and squeeze on it so you can get it out of the clip. And then the cable part just needs to be rotated and pulled out of the actual handle, and then it's much easier to do. Next, we're going to take off a couple screws. There's 3 of them. There's one here, and one over on this side. So we'll do that next. And then we should be able to finagle its way off. The key cylinder ring that goes around it will just pop off if you do it gently. And then, let's see. There we go. And then there's a wire clip holding this on, so I believe you need to push it in. And then you push in the red tab, and then you should be able to pull the wire out. Sorry, pull it out. So there's the red tab here. It sits like that. You want to pull it back and then press down, and it should come out of the switch. Alright, next we're going to need to disconnect the bevel that goes around the adjustable column. So there's 4 more screws. There's 1 and 2 over here, and 3 and 4 on the other side. And then you should be able to move this down so it's a little bit more out of your way. Next, we're going to take off the instrument cluster, and that's 4 more screws. So there's 1 here, 1 up here, 1 here, and 1 over here. And then the cluster should be free, and it's going to take a little bit of finagling to try and get this out of here. And then there are a couple wiring harnesses clipped into the back of this, so you'll just have to feel around for where the release pin is and push down on it. And that is gauge cluster removed. So here's our replacement gauge cluster. We got this at a junkyard for something like $27. Taking this out of a junkyard car will definitely help you when you're trying to figure out how to take out all these pieces, and it will give you a little bit more hands-on experience on how to take this out before you do it to your own car. So what we're going to do is we're just going to plug this in. We're not going to screw it back in or anything, because we just want to make sure that this cluster is actually functional. So we'll do that right now. Alright, so if we actually look on the gauge cluster that we just plugged in, we can see that, let's see if I can change the exposure, it says lift gate ajar and doors ajar. So, let's see, can I flip through these? No. Let's try putting the key in. Ooh, that's new. It says 103. And can we go through? Alright, so the donor car of this cluster had 217,599 miles, which is within, I believe, 8,000 miles of this car. So we don't really have to worry about the mileage difference. Obviously, you know, it is going to be a little bit different. But that's awesome. So it's good to see that it works, and if we actually start up the car, look at that. So this is a fully functional cluster. Awesome. So now that we're at the step where we're going to start putting stuff back together, there's only one note about screws. This is a screw that is Phillips, but it also has a hexagonal head, so that you can also take it off with a socket. There's two of these. They go on the edge over here at the very end. So you want to make sure you save these screws for the very end. The rest of the screws are just normal Phillips head screws that have a rounded like socket cap head, and those go on everything else back here. So that's the only note about screws. As for reassembly, it's the same thing in reverse. Just be careful. well, as you can see, the interior is back together. We put all the little trim pieces back in. So I say that's mission accomplished. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.